world is a global village. Millions of people across the world move outside their native countries to seek for better opportunities. Ministry of Foreign Affairs estimates 1.5 million Ugandans have also migrated abroad to seek greener pastures. In this competitive world, they eke a living to make ends meet and also send money to their relatives back at home.
I was born in Uganda. I've lived in Sweden for almost 30 years now.
I work and I reside in Norway, in the capital Oslo.
I am a pastor for the last 23 years in Sweden, in a city called Gothenburg.
I've been in Canada for 33 years. I'm a medical doctor by profession.
These are the Diaspora. UNDP, in collaboration with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, designed the projects to harmonize the flow of information and ultimately resources.
Statistics with the Bank of Uganda showing the remittances from the diaspora. Right now, it's over $1 billion per annum. The latest we had was 1.3 billion. So this is good income. It's number 3 next to agricultural products and tourism.
But how is this money spent? Bank of Uganda carried out a feasibility study for a diaspora bond.
The feasibility study came out with a number of results. First of all, they discovered that the biggest proportion of remittances from the diaspora are for consumption purposes, and that's about 80%.
In order to harness these resources, the government deemed it fit to guide the diaspora community in investing back at home. A diaspora department was created under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
The Diaspora Project in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, funded by UNDP, started off in 2012. Since then, we've had a number of successful components of the project.
Our role was to create this environment that is conducive for them to contribute even more, such that this can also benefit the country in a more broad manner.
For starters, UNDP redesigned the ministry's website to bridge the gap between the diaspora community and their home country.
They gave us consultants who were able to redesign our website to make it user-friendly and attractive.
Having a diaspora department and the ministry's website improved, a policy framework that ensured the well-being of Ugandans in the diaspora and how they can participate in the social, economic and political platforms of the country was needed. Again, UNDP came in handy to facilitate the drafting of the National Diaspora Policy, which is before Cabinet for consideration.
The National Diaspora Policy promotes resource mobilization for national development. It fosters externalization of labor, including support to validate academic qualifications earned by Ugandans while in Uganda or abroad while seeking employment. And it enhances the coordination and administrative mechanism in support of the diaspora programs in Uganda and our missions abroad. What we want is the missions abroad to be one-stop centers for the Ugandans abroad to go there and get responses to all their queries.
I would strongly recommend that Electoral Commission does consider that idea of online voting. You see, even Sudan, Southern Sudan, which was born yesterday, they did that during their last elections. They had online voting. And even the focal point of the embassies, they are able to vote to participate in the climate politics of their country. Why can't we?
That requires us to have registration of voters abroad, polling stations abroad. The Electoral Commission has to declare polling station. All this is constitutional. We have made this clear that it's part of the requirement of the diaspora. But I think the political process has to agree on that, and we hope that other countries are doing it and can do it. And it's part of the ongoing of the development and implementation of diaspora policy.
Once this policy is approved at the appropriate level, they should be able to take it forward. They should put in place mechanisms for actually rolling out the policy, seeing that the policy provisions are implemented.
Then the Foreign Policy Review, which looks at Uganda's relation with the rest of the world, was also completed.
We have embarked on Foreign Policy Review of Foreign Affairs, including the focus on the role of the diaspora in development. That foreign policy document is ready with the foreign policy framework and the draft foreign policy.
Since the feasibility study for the establishment of the diaspora bonds discovered that Uganda was not yet ready for the diaspora bonds due to its lack of the exact figures of Ugandans living and working abroad, Bank of Uganda initiated the Primary Dealer Shared Gateway. This is an online platform from which the diaspora can invest in the already existing government securities to help improve on the country's infrastructure, as depicted in Uganda's Vision 2040.
So the approach that we've used is to first of all attract the diaspora into investing in the usual government of Uganda securities. As they invest, we'll start monitoring them. As we monitor them and we see how much money they're investing, when they get to a point where there's a critical mass, then we'll move on to phase 2, which is having a normal local government of Uganda securities with a diaspora component.
A well-packaged compendium of investment and business opportunities was also produced by Uganda Investment Authority with the support from UNDP.
Every page of this business idea is just enough, if one is to read it, to make an investment decision, because it has got all that is required, that is the introduction, the process, what you go through, the production costs, the market analysis, and the profitability of the idea.
Another way of attracting the diaspora to invest back home was through Home is Best Summit. This is an annual event organized by Uganda Investment Authority since 2008. Here, information about investment opportunities in the country is unveiled.
And the Diaspora Project, sponsored by UNDP, we are grateful as an institution, Uganda Investment Authority, because it has enabled us to reach far more a bigger audience than we were reaching before.
The 2014 Home is Best Summit was the 4th event to be supported by UNDP and took place in Gulu district, an area that is fast recovering from the LRA conflict.
Diaspora involvement in national development will be very useful in providing employment and livelihoods for regions such as northern Uganda, for marginalized and vulnerable groups such as women and youth who need capital, resources, and mentoring.
From the summit and the compendium of investment opportunities, successful investors to take Uganda to another level of development have been created.
Make a decision. If you are going to live in Uganda for your retirement, plan and invest in Uganda appropriately.
I'm glad the Executive Director, Uganda Wildlife Authority, is here. I want to insist that he approves my application so that I'm able to put up another safari lodge at Kidepo. My application is on your desk.
We've managed to get hopefully more investment from them. Unfortunately, I can't quantify them, but there are quite a few in the sectors of education. People are doing schools and people are doing student hostels. In the tourism sector, People are doing various tourist facilities. In real estate, we have people doing apartments and so on and so forth. In health, people are expanding or even building new medical facilities in the country. All these are Ugandans from the diaspora.
6 years ago, they had the first of these things, which was in Gulu. We had it in Gulu for one day, then we went back to Kampala. And it was during that meeting that the Vice Chancellor of Gulu University presented and said that Gulu University had land, but they're looking for investors to put up student hostels for the university. I started construction within 6 months of the agreement. 2 years later, the hostel was complete. It opened in August of 2013.
We had recently a group from the Nordic countries that is promoting a software that's going to help all the medical institutions in Uganda to have records at the touch of the button. We introduced them to the Ministry of Health and to the KCCA and a number of insurance companies.
We need around 300 acres of land to begin with. We want to plant trees. The idea is to plant trees so we can start what we call a paper and pulp factory. Now we have got the technical advice and consultants in Sweden who want to work with us, and we're looking forward to work with the UIA, Uganda Investment Authority, and the government to see that we can procure land and invest.
I decided that I should actually be an investor myself as opposed to facilitating others to be investors. I'm the managing director of Paragon Hospital, a leading private hospital in Kampala. I'm the managing director and owner of Heritage Safari Lodge. This is a new safari lodge that we have just commissioned in Masishon Falls National Park. I'm also the managing director of Pagoda Guest House, which is in Gulu. Those are projects that are now commissioned, active, and running.
We are the only Ugandans who are selling clean cooking gas out of the so many companies in the country. 2010, we had only 45 customers. 45 marked that word, 45 in the whole year, from January to December, 45 customers. But right now, we're proud ourselves of having 6,000 customers.
The Bank of Uganda has been very instrumental with the security bonds. We have made them in Sweden, and I'm glad we have also made them in Gulu. Uganda Investment Authority has been very, very informative, educative, and it gave us a spectrum that you get all the information you need. You can walk through the offices without any bureaucracy.
I can really say I've learned a lot. And this is the best summit here in Gulu that I've ever been on. I sat down and I listened, and I feel like I've got all my questions answered. So I'm so grateful for UIA, for UNDP, and what you have done to make this thing possible. It is now our responsibility to build up our nation, to build up Africa. Africa is on the move, and we are missing out when we are abroad.
However, there are still some challenges that need to be addressed.
The first project addressed the medium income sort of projects. But when you got the large ones, then not many, I think, were addressed. I hope and wish that we can now find a mechanism, maybe through UNDP support or whoever, to package bigger projects so that those in the diaspora who have capacity to interact with other people there with more money to form joint ventures can come and now take on bigger projects.
The rate at which the world is developing, whose responsibility is it to develop Uganda?
I believe that we Ugandans in diaspora, it is our responsibility to build up our country, Uganda.
Through all the forums that we are having with them, we shall also endeavor to reach out to the diaspora, but we would really like to interest them to come back home and invest.